We're back, moving from Washington to Athens, and the next discussion will be, by definition, interesting, is with the defense minister of Greece. And given what's happened over the summer, as I said, very, very interesting. Let me start because we don't want to lose any of the time we have with a question about the sanctions. We were talking with the senator about sanctions. The European Union, in the latest European Council, avoided in a way what we hoped for. But the US did impose sanctions. So I'm just wondering, how do you feel about the fact that the US has imposed sanctions, that the EU not yet? And from a military standpoint, these sanctions make a difference in Turkey's military abilities?
Well, first of all, let me thank you for giving me this opportunity to be present here at the sessions of the Delphi Economic Forum. It's an honor and a privilege for me. And stepping into the discussion right away, I must say that we feel it was certainly a step in the right direction. At some point, some type of pressure needs to be applied to Turkey in order to make a note of its overall destabilizing behavior. And I think that the United States of America took this step. And we just want to express our satisfaction over that step without making too much further noise, cries of jubilation and all that. It's not our sort of thing. However, I do believe that if we all agree that Turkey has resumed a very revisionist, aggressive, and authoritarian strategic posture that threatens the overall stability in the region of the north of the Eastern Mediterranean, not to mention NATO's internal cohesion and stability, then something should be done about it. And I'm also pretty satisfied by the fact that the United States, in imposing those types of sanctions, has demonstrated a strong bipartisan approach toward this development. It seems that the political system of the United States does realize the overall behavior of Turkey, does realize the problems in this type of behavior, the destabilizing element in all of that, and decides to take measures to cope with it. On the other hand, Europe has been slower. But then again, Europe as a political entity has always been slow in reaching resolutions over a certain any issue of geopolitical repercussions. I understand and I believe that Europe is slowly coming to grips with the realization that I described about Turkey. It's not so easy. I assure you that many Greeks feel that they'd be better off as citizens of Alabama or Maryland rather than that of a European member of the European Union with respect to the swiftness with which sanctions have been imposed. But then again, we have to respect this type of political process. And I think that little by little, Europe is realizing that Turkey's overall behavior is becoming a problem, and not a problem in relation to the bilateral relationship with Greece, but a problem vis-a-vis Europe and the broader region of the Eastern Mediterranean. So I think that during the recent leaders summit in Brussels, a small first step has been reached by outlining a series of potential sanctions that could be imposed if Turkey was to continue on that same path of its destabilizing and overly threatening behavior towards, let us not forget that, two European Union members, two member states of the European Union, and I'm talking about Cyprus and Greece, which strongly feel that we are being threatened militarily. And I'm not missing my words here.
Actually, now that you mention it, that was my next question, and you are the person to ask. What's exactly the situation right now, given what has happened over the summer? Uh, at some point, even the prime minister a few days ago, he was asked if we were close to war. He said, well, I don't want to over dramatize, but it was really, really tense. You are the defense minister. So let me ask you, where are we right now in the Aegean and the Eastern Mediterranean?
Well, right now, recent tensions have de-escalated, but let us take into consideration that our entire armed forces were in a state of high alert throughout most of the summer and early fall. 3 times we had to mobilize in succession. We had to mobilize our entire naval fleet in order to monitor the movement of the research vessel, the Hellenic fleet of naval escorts from the Turkish fleet. We had to mobilize in order to counter this type of very aggressive behavior. Tensions have eased, but I'm sure that that was partly due to the European summit that took place a few days ago, and it's more of an excuse than a credible and real change of position on behalf of Turkey. So we are still on a relative state of alert, and we are taking our own set of measures in order to revamp our armed forces and increase the deterrent element of them. Recently, we've announced a much bigger defense budget. We've just concluded with a budget discussion in Parliament. There, the Prime Minister announced a series of acquisitions in terms of weapon systems, new planes, new frigates. These deals should go through during this coming.
Can you make a brief summary of? I saw what the Prime Minister said, but many people who was watching us, especially abroad, have not. But can you give us a brief overview of what we will be doing with our air defense or air force and navy? I mean, the Rafale, the F-16s. Just quickly for somebody who wants to know how the Greek armed forces will be developed.
We are pushing forward with a very organized and prioritized and financially supported plan with respect to revamping our entire armed forces. The major interventions, of course, have to do with the acquisitions of new weapon systems like the 18 Rafale aircraft we'll be purchasing from France. The deal is almost done, and it will be passed through Parliament in the coming few days. During the course of the next year, we will be deciding on the acquisition of 4 new multiple-role frigates at the cost of about 4 billion, with weapons and follow-on support contract included in them, because that's also a big part of the whole package. We will also be refurbishing through a midlife extension program our existing MECO class frigates, our least old frigates in our existing fleet. And also we're underway with a very ambitious project of revamping the largest portion of our F-16 fleet, 84 aircraft that will be revamped into the Viper edition, which is the most advanced edition as far as the F-16 fighter jet is concerned. These are the biggest interventions. However, there is a great number of minor interventions, about more than 100 programs that will be processed through the defense minister, government, and Parliament, of course, because you need parliamentary approval for all of that. That shows a true ambition and determination to revamp the capabilities of our armed forces, and at a very fast pace, because we are compelled to do so. We will be increasing our defense budget about 4 times, fourfold with respect to our existing ones. We are racing in order to cover needs that have been generated in the past few years, where we didn't have the capability to do that because of financial difficulties, among other reasons. But we're trying very hard to revamp our armed forces in order, as I said, to reinforce our main deterrent element. not to mention interventions with respect to personnel. We'll be recruiting more professional soldiers in the next few years. We want to increase the quality of our personnel as well as drop off the average age, especially in certain branches like the special forces. So this is a very comprehensive plan. We are compelled to do it because we feel the threat. We feel this destabilizing effect by means of a very aggressive and authoritarian and revisionist Turkish position, but we are determined that we will not give in with toward any type of threat toward our sovereign rights.
And finally, Mr. Minister, let me ask you: the U.S. will change administration in a month or so. What do you expect from the Biden administration on our bilateral cooperation, but also its approach to the region, and especially, of course, since that's our issue and problem for decades now, its relationship to Turkey?
Well, first of all, let me point out that I feel, and we all feel in Greece, that the level of our bilateral cooperation with America, the United States of America, is just about at an all-time high. And that is manifested in the Mutual Defense Cooperation Agreement, the MDCA, which is always expanding. We're always exploring new opportunities to reinforce and strengthen this strategic relationship. We understand that America places a lot of interest in Greece's strategic role in the region as a net security provider, as a provider of stability in the region overall, and we want to work on that. We've already explored new opportunities for enhancing this type of relationship. I think we will have more to say during the course of the year. For example, exploring a series of new locations where we should set up the infrastructure for that would enable this community of interest to grow together. We feel that if the United States of America has its own interest to look after in certain locations of strategic importance in Greece, like Suda Bay in Crete, ever growing in terms of strategic importance, then this is at the mutual benefit of both Greece and the United States of America. We will continue to project ourselves as the one reliable and credible strategic partner in the region, and we want that to be realized. And I think it's slowly, actually not so slowly, swiftly by now, it's being realized by our American friends and partners, both in
And also,
terms
given
of
the alliances we have with Egypt, with Israel, I think also that
we work
helps.
a lot on the multilateral schemes, engaging with Israel, with Egypt, with the United Arab Emirates, and other countries that share the same type of values and the same type of ambition with respect to stability and prosperity in the region. And there's no other way to go about it. Now, we're very anxious and eager is more like it, to establish a channel of communication with a new administration beginning of next year. We have lots to discuss, and I'm looking forward to working on strengthening this type of strategic relationship, because there's room for improvement, actually. And I think that the Greek government will be working on that very intensively. And I expect the same type of approach from the Biden administration. I understand that there'll be a renewed interest in engaging more actively in the region, and also probably in trying to mediate in good faith toward reaching an understanding with Turkey, because Greece has always been in favor of a dialogue, but not in favor of a dialogue under a status of coercion or even worse, military threat. I'm very clear about it. The Prime Minister is very clear about it. We're open to discussions. We have disputes with Turkey. The best way to deal with them is sit down on the table of dialogue and try to work out an understanding. And if we fail to do so, then maybe we would address ourselves to the International Court of Justice and have a judiciary judgment deal with that. But certainly, it wouldn't be wise to try to work out those differences under conditions of tension, escalation of tensions, and gunboat diplomacy. That doesn't do it.
Actually, Greece has just signed with Italy, with Egypt, and possibly with Albania going to ICJ. So, as far as we are concerned, I assume the world can be certain that we want to solve any differences, which is natural on the exclusive economic zones and the continental shelf in a peaceful way through dialogue. Mr. Minister, thank you very much. And after a short break, Andy Zemenides will have an interesting discussion with Senator Menendez, one of our closest friends in the U.S. Senate.
Indeed. Thank you.